I'll begin with a disclaimer. This post is not for everyone. Rather, this post is for those who have felt left out, called out, singled out, and pushed out. This post is for those who, like myself, never quite fit in and struggled to simply be one of the crowd. This post is for those who, though they pretended well, knew they weren't quite like everyone else. I have good news for you. You aren't like everyone else, and in fact, you were never meant to be like everyone else. You are different, but not simply different for difference sake. You are different with a purpose. The last couple of days, we've talked about authenticity and the burden we encounter when feeling obligated to live our lives based upon the expectations of others. See post 54 and 55. Today, I want to talk more specifically about the purpose behind our pain, meaning I want to offer meaning to the experience of not fitting in. I have recently concluded, after all of these years, that my inability to fit in has offered me great spiritual insight. I don't neatly fit into most established boxes or categories. Likewise, during most of my life, I have found myself at the margins of nearly every group and identity, even within my own family. However, this experience has allowed me to, one, better understand the plight of those who are very different from myself, two, more easily appreciate the perspectives of varying groups, and three, identify with people without having to directly experience their circumstances. The experience of being an outsider has basically placed me in the seat of observer and student of humanity, thereby offering me powerful insight into the human condition, all of which have served me well in my life and vocation as minister and teacher of spiritual truths. I encourage you to examine your life and discover what gifts being an outsider has provided for you. However, if I had not learned to stop pushing against who and what I was and simply surrender to the truth of my own marginalization, I would have missed the blessing it came to bestow. I had to realize that it couldn't be, and in fact can't be, any other way. I am not like everyone else, and you aren't either. You must understand that greatness, while it is a team sport, is not a group activity. In other words, we are interdependent, and anyone who has accomplished great things has a long list of people of whom to thank for helping them along the way. However, purpose is lonely and solitary and most often misunderstood. Please don't get me wrong. I think everyone has a purpose and everyone is called to greatness. However, I have recently concluded that there is a difference among us. This difference shows itself in two ways. First of all, we must acknowledge that some people simply never heed to the calling of their purpose. Due to reasons both within and beyond their control, they never awaken to their greatness. They, unfortunately, die having never tapped into the potential that resides within. However, secondly, and this has been the most difficult for me to accept, we are all called to different levels of quote, end quote, success. I put this word in quotations because our westernized idea of success has become greatly entangled with notions of wealth, fame, and privilege. On the contrary, I deeply believe that success is living out one's own purpose, whether one ever achieves the aforementioned external trappings of what society says success looks like. This has been hard for me to wrap my mind around because within me is great ambition. I have dreams and hopes and aspirations that I have come to accept will extend me and my gifts to people around the world. Nevertheless, this is not and cannot be the calling or life purpose of everyone. This became stingingly clear to me in the last few months. I was in conversation with a family member and was encouraging them to reach beyond their current job to seek a position in management, though they adamantly resisted, saying they were just fine. Me being me, I couldn't quite understand why one wouldn't want to do more, reach higher, achieve greater. Yet it dawned on me that everyone had his or her own sacred contract to fulfill, and clearly it didn't involve, nor could it involve, everyone being in management. I had to deduce that, yes, in the words of Dr. King, there is dignity in all work. That, yes, we as a society should ensure everyone had the space, liberty, and opportunity to be the very best they could be. However, no, this does not necessarily mean everyone will have the personal ambition or internal desire to be a leader. I had to accept that everyone is not meant to lead. So the question remains for those of us who do somehow feel led to lead our peers, to walk ahead of the pack, and make some distinct contribution to the collective good, how do we accomplish it? For me, and I know for many of you, it begins with the experience of being an outsider. For being a leader means being misunderstood and at times being lonely. Risking making this post too long, I must share this with you. A friend recently posted the following to Facebook. It says volumes. Quoting, "Some of us are afraid to succeed simply because it will mean leaving the group behind. Leaving the group means you're now out there on your own to try, fail, recover, fail again, etc., until you finally, hopefully, figure it out. The pursuit of success can be lonely and incredibly vulnerable, so much so that we often sabotage ourselves when we see it on the horizon. Most people are meant to be average. That status quo has governed accordingly for a reason, making pursuits beyond average all the lonelier. Steve Jobs describes this as product people versus process people. Jay-Z calls it being first over the wall. Compacted, it's Ye owning his genius. The people who see beyond the status quo, the crazies, the anomalies, and sometimes we play small because that's the only way to remain in the group. But it's only the people who challenge the status quo that change the status quo. You have to leave the group in order to advance it. The most fruitful explorations are solo or small group missions in the hope that everyone waiting at home will benefit from what you find. No, while on your mission, most of the group expects you to fail. They're supposed to. Success is beyond their thinking. It's above average. Few people saw Jobs' vision. Jay-Z couldn't get a deal. Oprah and Puff or Sean Combs were fired. The average person won't understand the process, only the outcome. My point is, remaining in the group is futile because the group isn't set up to support you anyway. You'd have to be less than you really are and never play yourself small. Your unwillingness to leave the group might rob the group of what it needs to advance the average." End quote. Wow. After that, there is not much to be said. So, please remember, this is not the end of your story. Your best days are not behind you, they are ahead of you. We are all meant for greatness in some way or another. We are all meant to serve humanity in ways big and small. However, some are meant to lead. It can be lonely and it can be frustrating, but it's always worth it. So, are you a leader? If so, keep your head up, keep your faith strong, and know there are big things coming. Note, if you're new to the site, it might be helpful to read the first introductory post. Also, feel free to post your questions and comments here, and you can always reach out to me on Twitter at Ray C. Jordan using the hashtag BigThingsComing, copyright 2013. And as always, I pray you have been helped, you have been encouraged. Thank you for reading and listening.